All right, call this meeting to order at 5:30. Any adjustments to the agenda? Karen?
None.
None. Select board announcements. Anybody?
Karen, did you give these to me to announce?
Sure.
Okay. One is the Commissioner of Taxes, I think this was in the news. Commissioner of Taxes releases the FY 2027 education tax rate letter. The bottom line is that the projection is that the statewide average will be 11.9% next year. And I think you can find this press release on their website if you want to read the whole thing. There's some upcoming events in December for VLCT. One's grants and funding chat, specifically housing. That's on the 2nd. On the 10th, that's today, well, the 2nd's already gone. 10th, that one's already gone too, open meeting law basics. They didn't properly warn that one. 15th is the advocacy chat 2026 preview, and there's some others, save the dates. Those are probably on their website as well. And then I guess the Southern Vermont's Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation and Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies have released their 2025 annual report, which is right here and probably also on their website. That's all I got.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I met with Rachel about the boards and committees and open meeting law, and it is impressive how much she is having to catch and prevent from happening. One thing I wanted to do with the blessing of the select board is to reach out to who's listed as the chair of each one and find out, have them confirm that all of these people are still sitting on the committee and participating. And that way we know what the quorum is, and maybe pass along the link to the training for open meeting law to make sure that folks know how they should be operating and not relying on Rachel to do it. And I think that maybe we should think about next year when they elect folks to make sure that they are onboarded with some of the, at the very least, the rules of procedure, and ask them to watch the training for open meeting law so that Rachel isn't having to do this, because it's their responsibility to.
It definitely is the committee's responsibility to make sure that
Yeah.
they're following open meeting law.
And she's doing a tremendous amount,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that shouldn't fall on town staff, that's not fair.
So if everyone feels good, I would.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
will go for it.
Yeah, I support that 100%. Thanks, Bex.
All right, public comments on items not on the agenda. Anybody? Okay. Approval of minutes, November 19th and December 3rd.
We do them as two motions.
Is everybody here?
I don't remember if we were all here. I feel like somebody was missing on that.
I think we were all here.
No, your name's not on the first one, November 19th, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
Oh, you missed.
So let's do it as a
Okay.
separate. So I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 19th.
Here, second?
Second,
And we'll go, okay to me.
Clay, they look all right to you?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2025.
Second.
Also look good to me, short and sweet.
Yep.
Same.
Okay. All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
All right, warrants to the treasurer. This was a bunch of different.
Oh, boy.
First one, payroll warrant dated November 28th, 2025. The amount of $22,099.55.
So moved.
You get a second?
Second.
I don't have a copy of them here. In the electronic town packet, select board packet, so I think I should refrain just because I can't see anything.
Okay. Well, this is the payroll, so there's not usually that much going on there. People get paid, which is good. Do we just want to go through all of them and then go through them all?
We can. Alright, the other one is accounts payable warrant dated November 28th, 2025, in the amount of $19,471.97.
So moved.
Second.
The last one too.
Payroll,
Payroll warrant and accounts payable dated December 12th, 2025.
so moved.
Second.
Anything we should know, Karen?
Yeah, so the amount of the warrant is $20,537.86. And nothing unusual about the payroll warrant.
Okay.
And then accounts payable dated November 29 through December 12th, 2025, in the amount of, it's a big one, folks, $1,176,348.65. In this warrant is the second school payment in the amount of $1,058,652.41.
Like the majority of the warrant.
That is the majority of the warrant. The only other thing that is unusual is, where is it? Hang on, bear with me. So Green Mountain Power, all of our utility bills for all of our buildings and our street lighting went up $35 a piece a month. So we need to anticipate that rate increase. Good Now rubbish removal. There's an extra trash expense for $3,890.20. That is for debris and a half dozen mattresses that were thrown over a bank or on the side of the road, that the town highway department picked up and it had to be removed. So that was the cost for picking up rubbish, extra rubbish that was thrown on our town highways. One other expense that's not normal is HB Energy Solutions, $5,170.80. That is for propane at the wastewater treatment plant and at the well house on Sand Hill.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
generators.
They installed above ground tanks. There's two at the wastewater treatment plant. They're 1,000 gallons apiece, and one 1,000-gallon tank at Sand Hill. So next week, Powers Generators will be coming to fire them up to make sure that they're operable, and we should get a green light to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I say too. Long time coming.
How long will that power those systems for? Do we know?
I can't answer that question without looking at the documentation that we have.
Just curious.
Yeah, it'll be days. I mean,
That's good.
they're big. Twin State Truck Services on page 3, $7,323.48. Our 2021 Western Star dump truck needed $6,852.89 of repairs. So that's hopefully no more of that. We put some money into our trucks recently, and I'm hoping it slows down a little bit. So other than that, it's pretty much standard.
Okay. I'm good with it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Fairman.
if I may, because there was an opportunity under the open meeting law for public comment. May
I mean, we already passed that.
Yeah, we already went by that, Mr. Fairman.
The question is, you did not ask for public comment and you are obliged. I am not asking you to rescind the vote. I am exercising my right for public comment.
On the warrants?
Yeah, well, it is a query. I am hearing our town manager, but I am not seeing her. Where is she?
She's in her office.
She's online. She's on our side. I don't
You
know.
can't see her.
Yeah.
Why is the town manager in her office and not present at the meeting?
I'll let her answer that. Karen?
It's the lack of room. I used to sit at the desk, and now we have the podium, so,
Well, Mr. Chairman, with my usual great respect for our town manager, I take the liberty of suggesting that when our town manager, who is our principal employee, is not present in the room, first it changes the group dynamics, because she is not in your presence and she is not in our presence. She is a disembodied presence online. Secondly, as a public official, public officials are supposed to be seen and heard. So I take the liberty of suggesting that serious consideration be given to having our town manager present at the meeting, unless for some reason she must attend from elsewhere for the reasons that we all must. Because the simple presence of a podium that hardly anyone ever uses, I would suggest is not a valid reason. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Howard.
Sounds like we need to get that other TV up, Karen.
We've ordered 2 different cables. They've both been wrong. So it is in the works, and I have been on that, but unless somebody physically goes to Staples and gets the right cord, yeah, it should have been up 2 weeks ago. I agree.
Thanks.
And if you folks can, yeah, we need to figure out space in the room.
I think we should just rebuild the whole darn place.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why haven't we done that yet?
Renovation,
Yeah.
it's in the plans. It's in the works.
All right. Moving on. Town manager's report.
Yeah, where is all that good stuff? I'm gonna start with the Putney Fire Department first. Report from October 27th through December 9th. EMS incidents 26, automatic fire alarms 10, good intent 2, lift assist, 1. Fire emergencies, 6. Trees and wires, 5. Mutual aid, 2. That's Demerson and Keene. Motor vehicle accident, 6. So total of 58 calls from October 27th through December 9th. Training consisted, they reviewed fire equipment, auto extrication training, EMS training, psychiatric and seizures, review putting on tire chains on large apparatus, working on new training props. Maintenance, performed weekly and monthly apparatus and equipment checks, apparatus having regular services performed, oil changes, greasing, etc. Work in progress, capital plan has been completed. Continue to review and implement recommendations from the AP Triton report. Next year's budget has been completed and reviewed by the select board. Department model structure presented to the select board and granted their approval. Any questions? Moving on, highway department update projects they have been working on in the field. They're working their way around town doing fall grading, which probably at this point is completed. Blowing leaves off the roads again, cleaning all the culverts around town that need it, installing a couple new culverts, replacing rotten metal ones. Maintenance on equipment and trucks. The crew has started the process of undercoating all the trucks. A couple of dump trucks have received some work that was needed to keep them operating. Crew has started installing new tires on trucks for winter and will continue that process the next couple rainy days. I don't think we have rain, and I'm sure our tires are on all of our trucks at this point. With the next week, the crew will be putting, plow frames are on the trucks already because they're using them. And plows and sanders have been looked at and are ready for the winter months. So, yeah. Town managers report. Any questions on the highway department? Thank you. Town managers report. Alice Holloway is open during the day and the evening until further notice. So the water line and the hydrant work is complete. The next project on Alice Holloway that involves the town will be the Alice Holloway Drive pump station, the upgrades for the pump. So I'll keep people in the know about that. But I'm happy to know that Alice Holloway is open for traffic. All the contractor vehicles have been parking in the main lot to the big building. And in the wintertime, we will be plowing Alice Holloway. So now we have a clear path to get a truck in and out of there. Requests for proposals are out for assessor services, legal services, and audit services. All are due back by December 29th. I am getting inquiries on the legal services as well as audit. Working on loose ends for the draft audit. Kim and I will finalize that tomorrow, get it back to RHR Smith so we can get a finalized draft. Working on the personnel policy with the VLCT attorney Matt Bloomer. Kim and I need to review the changes and get back to Matt on that. Working with Jeanette White on several policies. She has been an asset. We will be slowly introducing those to the select board when possible. And the zoning office is still busy with zoning applications. Some for the zoning administrator and a couple for development review board that may be heard in January. Any questions on that report?
I think there's a question.
Unless you want to wait for public comment after, it's up to you.
No, I think I'll take comment on this one now.
So Mr. Fairman, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for our town manager, and I also have, I want to report something that appears to be a violation of state law. My question is, who paid for repaving Alice Holloway Drive?
What do you mean? Oh, repaving, Basin did that on, the contract for that project.
So the town of Putney didn't pay for that.
No, we did not.
Good, because they're the ones who dug up the road.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, the other one is, I'm going to talk very briefly about the Sand Hill Road Causeway, which of course runs through the Wilson wetland. Now, state law requires towns to control stormwater runoff from roads into bodies of water. Now, the first thing that happened more than a year ago was they mowed right down to the water line. So that was reported, and this year they did not mow right down to the water line, and I publicly complimented them on that. Now what they're doing instead is they are going along, and at the edge of the road, they are removing the topsoil and shoving it down the slope toward the wetland. In some places, the bank is now beginning to collapse. And in other places, stormwater runoff now has free run down into the water. Now that certainly is illegal under Vermont law, and this is the sole notice that I am going to give to the town of Putney on the subject. My next notice will be to the state of Vermont.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Fairman. I will consult with Lenny Howard, and if we have to bring somebody in to inspect, we can do that as well.
Thank you.
And Scott Jensen comes to mind.
Who's that?
He's with the streams. I would contact him first, Stream Alterations, and
A&R.
inquire with him to, direct us which way to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have one more report, and it's on town hall renovation. Because I wanted to roll out floor plans and more tonight, but we are not prepared. I was not comfortable to do that. And so we have had several meetings since my last report on October 29th. We've met with Vermont Integrated Architects, who we're working to get our design development plans and the site plans. So we met with them, and we're reviewing a preliminary construction cost estimate and a schedule for the renovation of Town Hall. And we're doing that also with HB Cummings, who is the construction manager that's been hired to do this piece to get us the cost estimate. The team has acknowledged and agrees a pre-release phase approach is anticipated for the start of this project. I know I have mentioned before, Paul Brune funding is $95,000, and that money must be spent by June 30, 2026. That money is allocated for the windows, to redo all of the windows, and to look at putting storm windows on. Because this is a historical building, it makes it very difficult, and you have to jump through a lot of hoops. And if you miss a hoop, we're done. We can't get the money. So we're being very cautious, and it's a slow process. The timing of this work is now. This is the best time to do window restoration. And because it can be done inside when the contractors are slow during the season. So we're hoping by June 30 that we will have all the windows restored and back in place. It could be as early as April. the MERP money, which is the Municipal Energy Resilience Program money, which is $402,500, must be spent by December 31st, 2026. This money is targeted for the HVAC, front doors, in any building energy envelope improvements. And that money has to be spent by, like I said, December. We're hoping summer that we could potentially start doing that work without too much interruption with daily business here at Town Hall. The remaining scope of the project will be built out with a schedule, and this is a very complex, complicated project. And because we're pre-releasing money and we're having to phase it, things are still not locking in yet. Everything's still kind of bouncing around. We're hoping by February, March, that we're going to be settled down where we have a clear direction and we can start the project. So our funding sources, right now, we're going to be writing an application to get money for ADA modifications. And this application could fund up to $155,000 or $150,000 for a Lula and any other ADA modifications such as bathrooms, railings, front doors, automatic door opener, whatever is ADA necessary for the building. Keeping in mind too that it was several years ago when we signed a lease to have the Putney Historical Society on the second floor of the building without actually realizing and thinking through that it needs to be accessible. If we have a tenant on a second floor and it's one or two people going up there, but they can't have any public up there. So we kind of put the cart in front of the horse without thinking it through, but I think we can overcome that hurdle. And we're also going to be looking at potential bridge construction loan and or a line of credit. The full scope of this project would be considered at that time. Knowing that, you know, the windows are done, the HVAC could potentially be done, the Lula might be in. So that's going to reduce the overall cost of the project. So we would be seeking less money. We are going to look into bonding and or a USDA loan. We just don't know at this point, without doing a major capital fundraising campaign, you know, we don't know how much to ask for right now. So this is kind of our hesitation without bringing this out to the full board at this time. So in December, we've met with VIII and HP Cummins to review preliminary construction cost estimate. We have not received a final estimate or the schedule yet from HP Cummins. HP Cummins has told us that this project should be about a 10 to 12 month construction project. The team has determined that there are 3 buckets: construction costs, design costs, and owner costs. And VIA, Vermont Integrated Architects, has presented this to the team. Right now, before we even hire a contractor to do our windows, because of the loan requirements for that particular phase, we have to do a phase 1 environmental site assessment. And I'm like, by the time we get started, we're going to have all kinds of reports, and hopefully they're all positive. So that is something else that just popped up. It's like, okay, what else is going to pop up that we're not expecting? We also received from VIA the floor plans, the site plan, design development plans, which include electrical, plumbing notes, and the existing conditions plans. Those are all in my office at the moment. Again, I really wanted to like try to present this evening, and we have time. We also, just so this board knows, we do have 2 elections next year. You know, well, we have 3. We have town meeting. We have an August election. We have a November. So, in order for us to feel good and to like tell our story, we need a little more time to make sure everything is in place and the whole entire team feels comfortable moving forward. So I just want to apologize because I know I've been saying you're gonna see something, but we're just not ready.
Peg?
Yeah, so Karen, we have enough of a floor plan though to be able to do the HVAC. Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is a Lula?
So a Lula is like a downsized elevator. It's not a full-size elevator.
Ah, okay.
So a Lula can be enclosed, but it's a smaller version. So down at the fire station,
Yeah.
that's like a Lula.
Okay, great. I just had no idea what we were talking about.
Yep.
A lot of them disguise themselves as elevators. They look like elevators, but they're actually lulas.
Yeah, Londonderry has a beautiful one. I really want theirs.
You want It's very, very slow.
It's okay.
I go in there and meditate.
I was also gonna ask what
Okay.
a Lula was, so
Alright.
very exciting stuff.
One other point in regard to elevators and the ADA. Our ADA obligations don't just run to the public, they run to our own employees. So,
Right.
you know, if we had a job that required somebody to be upstairs and they had a disability, we'd need to give them a way to get there.
The other point too, I want to add to that, Fletcher. Thank you for mentioning that. The design for renovation of town hall does allow meeting space upstairs for public meetings, including select board meetings. So an elevator or a Lula is imperative for access to this building. It's underutilized right now, and you know, this project is huge. And but you know, we're taking it slow. We want to make sure we don't miss a step or a beat. And we're still trying to like grab any potential funding we can.
Sounds exciting though. Well, we can be patient.
Thank you.
Any public comment on the town manager's report? Jeanette, go ahead.
Thank you. I was just gonna say that when this is all done, George Heller, were he here, would be very, very happy. He had been working on this for the last 30 years. So he would be very happy if he were here.
Mr. Fairman?
Mr. Chairman, first, I've helped out with historic preservation here and there, and yes, you can get in deep trouble if you violate anything. And in that connection, one of the foremost historic preservation experts in the state of Vermont, and nationally for that matter, is the former president of the Preservation Trust of Vermont, Lisa Papazian. Is she involved in this project?
She is, Howard.
Okay.
She is part of our Renew Town Hall team. And that team was started with Sue Coakley, Lisa Papazian, and myself, and it has grown. You know, we have an architect, we have a construction manager, we have Bob Goldberg, who is here in Putney. He's also on our team. And we also have a funding consultant on our team as well.
The second point, Mr. Chairman, is regarding lulas and elevators. We could ask next stage how they went about retrofitting an elevator to that building, which is of similar vintage to this one and likely present similar problems. I know one thing they did was they put the hoist on the ground, and there's pulleys up at the top that run the cabin up and down. If you'd like to see examples of a lula around here, there's one in the Westminster West Church, and there's one in the Williamsville Hall. And I think there's one in the Westminster Town Hall, but I'm not sure about that one. The other two I've seen recently.
There is one in Westminster as well.
Oh, Butterfield Institute as well, Jeanette says.
I think. Aiken Rec Center has one as well. That's a pretty old building.
Unfortunately, the planning for the lift in the Westminster West Church didn't include the idea that you might need to get a coffin upstairs. It's not big enough to put a coffin into.
So Fletcher, you bring that up because we were talking about a Lula too, if we wanted one big enough for
Coffin?
no, a stretcher, you
Oh.
know, for emergency services, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, same concept, Fletcher.
Mr. Fairman.
There's mentioning in that regard, of course, Mr. Chairman, that EMS crews are very accustomed to getting gurneys downstairs because in most people's houses there is no elevator or lula.
On the other hand, the easier you can make the job for them, the better for everyone.
Sure,
On the other
I just-
hand, if they're as slow as the one that we have in Londonderry, you might want to take the stairs instead.
All right, moving on.
Oh, you got another.
Oh, Sue, go
She's
ahead.
hiding behind.
Okay.
I just want to, first of all, thank Karen for the leadership she's providing on this project. It's really a very complicated project, and she's doing that and about 12 other things at the same time. And I'm very pleased to be on the committee with her to help her move it forward and make good decisions. An important time frame coming up for the Access Modification Grant, it's a community development block grant, will be to make the application by March, which will require select board action. You need to hold a hearing. And that will be something we need to do in February. So we're very cognizant of the need to bring more information to all of you, see the whole picture. But we have a pretty good chance of getting a $150,000 grant. So we're trying to get everything organized so that we're all in step for both the select board and the public to talk about the project when we talk about the Access Mod grant. So that's coming up, and I think there's a good chance we would get it, and we'll tell you more about that when we get there, but we probably have to notice it in February.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, moving on, boards, committees, and commissions. Planning Commission status report, Sue Copeland.
Well, I think I'll use the podium that was prepared for that purpose. And I agree that maybe it's larger than I need.
That's a lot. Very official though.
Very official. It is nice to put my paper down. I like that.
I'm not sure they make them smaller either.
A music stand would do, but anyway. This is my report as chair of the Planning Commission. It's been a couple of months. I'll touch briefly on, you have a written report, I'll just briefly on a couple of things. Projects going on right now are the zoning bylaw modernization project. Tomorrow we're kicking off the comprehensive village plan project. The Putney Landing walkway project, design and construction is moving forward. The high-low biddy 5 megawatt energy storage battery project has applied for a certificate of public good before the Public Utility Commission. So I'll mention what's going on with that. And we're also planning other projects, over the next 12 months that will be happening. So they give you a brief update on these things, and I'm challenged to do it in 7 minutes, so that was 2. Let's see if I can do it in 5. The zoning bylaw project is in the deep of the details right now, so we don't have a public review draft. We're not going to hit the hearing, I think, in January. It probably will be February. But it's a bit of a slog. We've addressed the attorney's comments on it, and we're trying to make sure that's all well integrated into the document. So we need a little more time on that. But it is, the stage 1 part is coming together, and when stage 1 is done, and that's really about housing, administrative efficiency, complying with state law throughout, that stage is nearly done. We're dotting I's, crossing T's. Stage 2 is really to take on forest block preservation. This is a big commitment in our town plan, but it requires another process to do that. We'll come to that after stage 1 is done. Comprehensive village plan, in a nutshell, we did receive our funding last summer. We've been recruiting people to have a project advisory committee. We have 15 people currently. We may have a few more. We have an initial meeting tomorrow night to orient everybody to that and to present an RFP for the consultant. And we have to go out to bid next week so that we can be engaging a consultant to be in place by March. To kick it off with the community. So the second meeting of the advisory committee will be in March, so we'll take a pause. But that's moving forward, and there's a lot of interest, so that's looking good. Putney Landing Walkway, the town manager is leading that project. I and Phil Bannister are assisting the consultant selection committee, and there is currently a request and we're expecting a proposal from a firm that can provide construction management services. That's been done through the contractor at a ready list, pre-qualified by VTrans. So, and then we get to, and if I'm going too fast, you can slow me down, but I've got 3 minutes left. A high-low biddy 5 megawatt energy storage battery project, which will be located down near where the existing solar array is and tied into the substation that is nearby there. Has filed for its certificate of public good with the Public Utility Commission, and that proceeding will move forward. I provide with my report the petition, so you get the details of the project, you understand what it involves. It can offer great benefits to the town. There will be certainly revenue, a higher value on that property, something we need to learn more about what that could be. But there are costs to the town, because when you have a new industrial operation, so to speak, it does require fire safety, emergency response. We need to make sure the town is compensated properly for whatever we need to do for that. But in terms of siting, it's about as good a siting as we might have in town for any facility like that. And the footprint of the actual facility is 1/3 of an acre. So it's not very big. But I do recommend that the town be a party to the proceeding. It doesn't cost anything. There's no filing fee or anything. And that allows us to ask questions and to keep abreast of the project. And that could be worth a conversation sometime, but it has just been docketed. It was filed November 21st, and I haven't seen a procedural schedule yet, but I will follow it myself. But we may want to check with legal counsel, and I know we're in the process of looking at legal services. The town manager talked about that earlier, but I do think this is important to do, so I advise you that we should be involved. It's not something the planning commission could do on its own necessarily to represent the town or even to be a party, I don't think. But I think we should list this.
I think you might be able to.
Maybe we could do that?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You do have some.
I'll look into that, but I would want to have select board support if I did that, of course. You all know that's my background.
Yeah.
Used to work for the Public Utility Commission. But I just think for the town, this is an opportunity, but it's something we need to make sure we understand it well. And we can't say anything about citing that. We don't have really any ability to do that. We don't have standing to do that. But so that's moving forward.
Is this the place where the paper pulp was being pumped into? Is this that location?
No, this is Hilo Biddy Road, is down, it's across from Landmark College.
I got you.
Yeah, It's not far
There's a
from the
station.
5 Naples area, it's just over in that general area of town.
2 years ago, they put up solar panels in that field.
That's right.
And it's part of that, isn't it? Yeah.
It will be adjacent to that. It's an unrelated project, but it makes sense to have solar panels and battery storage right next to each other and tied right to the substation. It's about as good a placement of those things as you could have. So, so that's moving forward, and that's my recommendation. And I will look into, I'll take as an action item to see if the planning commission can do that. But if we did do anything, I would certainly want the select board to approve and do that, because it is a legal proceeding. And so let's give that some thought. And I'll look more into who can how the town can participate.
So you're asking to approve the town of Putney as a party to the.
Yes, I think that's we should become a party to it, and maybe the question is what's the best pathway to it. If you hire an attorney, you pay the attorney fees to do that for you. But there's a benefit to that. I can watch the docket and see what's going on and report what's going on. That might be of concern. Couldn't even write an information request, like, for example, what are the property taxes they pay for projects like that in other towns would be a good one. But there may be other issues, fire safety and other siting impact questions we might want to cover if they're not already fully covered in the petition, and they may be. I haven't read every word of it. So I don't know that we need to take action now, but if you have a particular interest in this, it would be good for me to know. I'll certainly find out how we could participate and what it means for the planning commission to participate.
I think that would be, I personally think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
This was, oddly enough, the original solar panels that went down there reminded the town that we don't have standing. And we did try to, get that process going, but as you know, it kind of fizzled, so.
Well, another update that since I wrote this report last week is that I met again with the Wyndham Regional Commission staff who is helping towns do enhanced energy plans.
Good.
And so I am planning for the next fiscal year to begin in July to do an enhanced energy plan with most of the staffing, the technical support being provided by a funded staff person at Wyndham Regional Commission. We may have some other costs for a little bit for public engagement and maybe for producing a document at the end. But I think it's important that we can build on the work that was done earlier, Eileen, that you were talking about, as well as the town plan. There are new requirements since that was done.
Sure.
But we're
And the
reviewing
data's
this.
probably pretty old, yeah.
So I'm trying to put a project together that would begin in July, when we're mostly done with the comprehensive village plan. To do that, be done in October would be. So I'll have more of a specific report on that in March, as I'll be ready with a scope of work and an idea for that. So.
Sue, Karen's got her hand up.
Yes, I can't see that.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, sorry you can't see me, Sue. So does having solar, whether it's arrays or this particular battery storage, is that in line with our town plan?
Well, our town plan only provides very high general guidance for siting. It says that consideration needs to be given to the obvious things like agricultural soils, natural resources, it talks about not going into areas that are very remote, like the Putney Mountain, for example. So it doesn't point to where it would be. We need more specific siting criteria. And that would be one of the things that this project would do, is to say, what are our siting criteria, and possibly identify areas in town where that siting criteria exist, so that we can point to where the possibility might be. So that's what's missing from the town plan, Karen. What we do say is generally we should take care to not in any way disturb or limit the availability of prime agricultural soils or undue natural resource impacts. So it's good, but it's not sufficient to have deferential, I should say, standing in a certificate of public good proceeding where essentially, if we do have that citing criteria and something doesn't meet it, the Public Utility Commission will not approve it. Okay, so that would be the difference between us coming and making comments that really, if the commission feels like it's still a good project, they can do it.
They can do whatever.
Zoning has nothing to do, the zoning doesn't affect it,
Right.
so.
Speaking of zoning,
Yes,
I have one extremely picky comment about the proposed zoning bylaw, but since you said you're into the details at this moment, this sounds like the
Sure.
right time. The nomenclature, it is non-complying structures and non-conforming uses. Our zoning bylaw uses non-conforming throughout. Non-conforming applies to a structure. It does not apply to a structure. It applies to a use. So, and it's kind of a jarring thing if you know what you're looking for and you read it, that it jumps out at you. And also, if you do research into Vermont Supreme Court cases, you see that they honor the distinction, and it makes us look like we don't know what we're talking about.
thank you for that, very much pleasure. And in fact, that's an issue. We've been looking at how uses and structures are different and how they're appropriately dealt with in the regulations. But I'll bring that back and make sure that we've dotted that I and crossed that T. So that did come up, that they were confused in the way the regulations are talking about them.
Thank you, it's bugged me for years.
Well, relief might be in sight then. What else did I want to tell you? That was now 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I went way over. But
We asked some questions, so yeah.
I'm still working on a town plan implementation tracking, but it's been busy and I haven't had time to step back and do that. I do want to do it. So it's on there. You'll see my general schedule for what we're doing. I would just say that I'm just very pleased with the planning commissioners that we have. And I would say our project advisory committees have been really wonderful. And I'm excited to form this next one for the comprehensive village plan. I will note that in talking about that, when we do the enhanced energy plan, I plan to form a project advisory committee for that. I know there's been interest in having an energy committee, right? I've heard about that from time to time. And I would say this advisory committee, which has a beginning and end date, is how we do them, will provide a lot of, I think, useful input to that. We can decide, do we need an energy committee or not when the enhanced energy plan is done? Or maybe we look at it on an issues perspective. Housing and energy have a whole nexus. Siting facilities is a whole thing in itself. And the third box, so to speak, is transportation. And we'll be addressing a bit of our sort of what are we doing about EV charging and preparing our community for that in the comprehensive village plan. That's right. That's one of the topics to get at. That's not to say that we don't need maybe a further look at those things, but at least there's some light being shined on all these things through our processes right now. And we can think about when these are done, what is the next step? And is there an ongoing group that might be needed for any of those things?
I think using short-term task force for specific items that the energy committee should have been addressing is probably a better way to go. Because people have certain interests and certain energies for certain things, and I don't see a reason to have a standing energy committee that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to let you know my thinking about that, and that I would propose to have that same process happen with the enhanced energy plan. Cool. So, anything else? Okay.
Mr. Fairman?
Mr. Chairman, I've looked through what did they call it? Petition for certificate of public good, and I noticed two or three things. But first, to address the question of before the Public Utility Commission, I've never been involved with standing there because I was there in my own right they do receive public comments. And this leads me to what I was commenting on there was the actual ownership and the implications of the ownership of another project, which was New England Clean Power Link. But the same thing applies here. The project on High-Low Biddy Road is going to be owned by a limited liability corporation restricted to that. In other words, the actual company that is proposing the project is insulating itself from legally from the project and financially from the project on High-Low Biddy Road. Now that is always a warning sign in my humble opinion. So I'll look into that a bit more, but we certainly can bring that to the attention of the Public Utility Commission, whether we do it as individuals, or if the town of Putney or some representative of the town of Putney can receive standing. But I also note, in reading through it, that the petition for a certificate of public good in nowhere mentions any benefits to the town of Putney or to residents of the town of Putney. It is simply absent. And that is another warning sign. Obviously, it is beneficial to the companies involved, or they wouldn't even be proposing the project. We need to find out what are the benefits to the town of Putney of having this project in town, or is it simply being placed here to benefit people somewhere else?
Well, that is one of the questions I bring up in my memo on what are the costs and benefits to the town of the project.
Yes.
So
my point was that they don't address it.
they don't, well, I will say, I only gave you one of 6 documents. So you can thank me now that you didn't have to read 5 more documents. But this was the more general petition document. There were other supporting testimony. And I have not had time to troll through them fully just to see, do they talk about that issue? But I will look at it, and you can look at it because the docket is, well, I haven't seen the docket number yet, but as soon as it's available, we can all look at it.
I also looked through, because it's part of the petition, the index of pre-filed testimony.
Yeah.
None of which mentions the point of benefits.
So you read all of it. Okay.
I didn't read the pre-filed testimony. I read in an application for a certificate of public good. You must state what each witness is intended to say in the pre-filed testimony, which they do, and none of them addresses the question that can be simply summarized as who benefits,
Great.
other than the company.
Well, thank you for that, and I remain wondering about how the town wants to be represented before the Public Utility Commission. So I will look into it some more, and I actually have some very good documents from other towns that I just haven't had time to really troll through, but I will look and I will inquire what is really the appropriate representation for a town. I would take it, if I had to do that, it would be a big deal to feel like I'm representing the town with all the other things I'm doing. But I will learn for you all what are the options and what might be involved here. And I just don't have that story today.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you very much, Mr.
Go ahead.
And it's not necessarily for Sue, but maybe it's for Karen. Karen, this battery storage unit, does that fall under the renewable energy statute? Would it be tax exempt is what I'm asking?
No, not tax exempt.
Okay, because we have our solar arrays are tax exempt right
This
now.
is
but
not renewable energy.
Okay,
It's a battery.
that's good to know.
Yeah, we can
So we
tax this.
can get taxes out of it.
And I'll just say that Encore Energy, who is the company behind us, was here a year ago talking to us about that. And they did talk about benefits to the town to some degree. They talked about the property taxes. We didn't have an estimate, but they would pay property taxes. They actually would have a grant program that they would offer money to the town. I didn't see any of that here yet, but they did say that in their initial notice of intent to file the petition. So, And they also talked about training, for, safety, and all of that. Those are all, again, things we just, if they're not in writing now, they need to be in writing in the docket.
Karen?
Yeah, I was muted trying to talk for a second. So yes, Eileen, Jordy and I talked about this project already.
Yeah.
And he stated that an assessor would have to actually do the assessment.
Yeah, the state might actually have people now. The state's been taken over the utilities. So we might not have to do it ourselves.
With this project too, if it comes in to Putney, the board really should reconsider putting that solar article back out on the floor.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
That high-low biddy solar field right now is $1 million assessed value.
Yep.
You have another one coming in on River Road South, another 500 kilowatt. This battery storage is a megawatt. So,
Yeah.
people have to understand that we have to create revenue streams, and this is one way if we continue bringing in solar and, energy.
Yep.
Storage.
Well, we can continue to ask.
I know.
Australian ballot.
There you go.
I'll try to find out what others are doing and what's allowed, and all of that.
Sure. Okay.
So, okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I would mention that if the town of Putney continues to offer favorable tax treatment for solar projects, we will get more solar projects. So that's, if you like, a corollary to what our town manager says, that yes, we do need more revenue streams because we have an extraordinary number of exempt properties in Putney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, equity and inclusion. Swift, you there?
I am here appreciating all of our stretcher and coffin jokes. Thank you. Sorry, let me pull myself together. So I have a few things, and some of them might be time consuming, and I would, if you have a lot of discussion today, so if there's something of these three that you'd like to table, I'm fine with that. But the first one, I'm not fine with. So I'm sorry that we didn't get to read this statement during November. We did our best and it didn't happen. So I am reading it now. November was National Native American Heritage Month and the National Day of Mourning, which is another day that many people celebrate Thanksgiving. And the day after Thanksgiving, November 28th is Native American Heritage Day. These are times to honor the histories, cultures, and contributions of Indigenous people across the United States. This month reminds us of the deep connections between Native nations and the lands we live on, and the enduring strength and creativity and leadership Indigenous communities continue to share with the world. Locally, we are on unceded Abenaki territory. This month is an opportunity to celebrate the countless ways Native peoples have shaped our nation's past and present, and we reaffirm our commitment to learning from, respecting, and supporting Native voices and sovereignty every day. Take a moment to honor the tribes that first occupied our lands, especially as you walk through the forests, prepare your gardens for winter, and enjoy our beautiful state. Understand, too, that the broader ecosystem of Indigenous education, cultural centers, affinity spaces, tribal colleges, and DEI programs linked by supporting Indigenous people is under threat. With the current administration's rampant misuse of ICE and the systemic underfunding of Indian health services, the awareness and the history and culture of Indigenous peoples becomes even more important. Take a moment to honor and recognize the tribes that first lived on and stewarded these lands. There were a number of events that I could share, but I can. Maybe I'll just ask that they're added to the minutes. I'll share them with Rachel, just to honor that they did happen. I also know that one that isn't on here is that Atawi hosted a nature walk on Sunday of experience and talk and walk of I think it was down in Brattleboro. But if you're looking and curious, Atawi, AWTOI, I think it is. I'll make sure it's in the minutes. Is a great local organization for learning more about Indigenous history and present here locally in Wyndham County. The other two things, and maybe I'll just give it to you folks if you want to table one of them. The first one that feels most relevant is the follow-up on the recommendations that the Equity Committee made. I believe it was back in July or June. It might even been April. I hate to say it. And wanting to follow up on those 3 recommendations we made. And then the second is going forward with a recommendation of a townwide training from a organization called the Racial Equity Institute. I didn't have anything in your packet for that. But they do these amazing trainings that I think we'd love to spend our budget on recommending you folks going forward. Originally, we had talked with you a while back on like, we should do an onboarding training, and you were like, green light, great, Karen, we should do that. And then there wasn't any follow-up. So I'm coming forward with a specific recommendation of a training, if that's helpful to get the ball rolling. Do you want to discuss if you want to talk about both of those things tonight, or should we just go for it?
Can I make a comment
Go ahead, Karen.
or two? So I recall the conversation, Swift, and specifically for the ICE, and I was okay, like, putting a memo out to my staff, if ICE were to come into the building, town manager would like handle it. So I'm okay doing a memo to town employees. And then as far as the training, I thought that was, if there's something that were you going to look into the training? Because I didn't know where that was left, so.
Yeah, it's fine. I think we had made a specific recommendations of 2 different ones. It was probably a year and a half ago, maybe, that we recommended those, and we just
no
haven't
wonder I
followed.
don't remember.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it was right before the tax increases happened, and it was like, I'll get back to her on that.
All right.
So,
Can you send me those 2 if you can find them?
yeah, there's 3 now, I'm really leaning towards the third, but maybe the 3 of us can have a conversation. Or the
Yeah,
3
why
of
don't
us.
we?
The
we'll
2 of
have a
us about the 3.
conversation. Right.
Yeah.
Let's
Great.
do that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Some things do get dropped and,
Yeah.
we need reminders, so.
So maybe we don't need to have a larger discussion here about the training piece today.
No,
So I guess
I
okay,
don't-
great.
No.
Okay. So we came forward, I believe I have to go back. It was April 24th. So yay, things get slowed down, and it was updated in June. We brought it back to you folks in June, and we're bringing it back again. So the 3 things were the first recommendation, was talking directly to the sheriff's office and asking them to make a public statement about how the Wyndham County Sheriff's Office is going to abide by the fair and impartial policing policy in the state of Vermont. And that's the first thing I want to follow up on, and where that conversation with the sheriff was at. And that request from y'all.
So the sheriff was at one of our meetings.
Yeah, I think it was that
And
meeting.
talked about this.
Yeah. I think it was the meeting that you made the recommendation that the sheriff was actually at the meeting.
Yeah, you had left just before he started speaking.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. And I'm like, where's she going? I'm like, it would have been a perfect opportunity, because he explained that there's a link on their website, and he was going to double check to make sure that they have some sort of policy about fair and impartial policing. So, and I can't remember.
I think it was a different meeting, but I remember, yeah, it wasn't the meeting that I brought up my thing, but it was a meeting that he was at. I do remember what you're talking about. Sorry.
Eileen, didn't he state that they follow the state?
I think there's a state statute that they're required to follow.
Yeah.
Great. That I would believe is what's linked, obviously not on your paper, but in the virtual copy of your paper, which is the Vermont Fair and Impartial Policing Policy.
Right.
I will take it upon myself to follow up with the sheriff's office and make sure that's what he was referencing.
Perfect.
And follow up with that. Great. The second one was sending a statement to the General Assembly. on the town of Putney it's a statement, very brief statement, calls on the General Assembly of Vermont. This was a statement you asked us to edit, and this was an edited version of the statement. On the General Assembly of Vermont to demand the federal government address our immigration system, such that there's a clear, fair, legal, and affordable path to citizenship. I don't know how we send that statement, or if we just send it as a to them, but you folks all agreed on it. You just wanted us to edit the language a little bit.
I feel like we already did that. I feel
And you
like
sent it.
I feel like we made a motion on it and then there was an agreement to send it to our representatives. Did it actually get sent? I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to follow up on.
I'd have to go back and look at the recording of what we actually decided.
Okay. Is there a way to follow up on that to make sure that did get sent?
Yeah. I have a vague memory that I agreed that if we made the motion, I would send it on. So I think that might be on me. And I'm not sure that I actually did it. I just did it in my head.
Well, that's the first step. So great. And this can be the second.
Can you send me an email, at my town of Putney email, just so that it's
With that,
just with
just a
the
reminder.
language, and then I
Yes.
can just copy and paste it, and that will also remind me that I said this once again
yes.
on camera. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm writing down so I'm going to send you a reminder, and I'll also talk to the sheriff. Okay, and then the third piece is the memo. Well, that was much lighter lift than we thought. Great. So Karen and I will work on the memo. I guess that feels, if that's all not all we're doing, it's a potent memo. And you saw the draft of it. It's in your packets. And Karen and I will work on that. And I'll talk to the sheriff and I'll remind Eileen. That is fabulous. And Karen and I will also talk about training.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any public comment?
So I have one question. So Swift, you sent a second document. So
Yes, there was
guidance. So that's just guidance, or how do you want us? What do you want us to do with this document?
the document
this
that's
is for
the draft
town
of the
employees.
memo.
Got it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The draft of the
Yeah.
memo, and then there was the recommendations.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
I'll read
Thank
this.
you so much.
when we Get together. Thank you.
And just, I want to give a shout out to Jill Hinckley. She wrote the Native Indigenous Peoples those 3-day month and the 2 days. She wrote that statement, and she also drafted the memo. So she's been trucking along up there at Landmark. So thank you to Jill.
All right.
Thanks, Swift.
Okay, moving on. Select board new business. Green Mountain Power request for an easement.
So I have David Conwell. He is online with us, requesting an easement for their project on Route 5. That does impact Mount Pleasant Cemetery. Hey, David.
Hello, thank you for having me this evening.
Yes. So the select board has in their packet your easement along with the map that you had sent to me. And if you want to just kind of explain to them what's going on Route 5 near the cemetery.
Sure. GMP is working its way down US 5 through the middle of Putney, replacing poles and upgrading the wires through there because it's one of the circuits that's been identified as being particularly vulnerable and kind of in need of rebuilding to remain reliable and not go down frequently in bad weather, that sort of thing. And that curve on US 5 through the cemetery was identified by the crew doing the work as a spot where they could really benefit from a pole across the road from where the existing poles are. But the anchor then ends up inside the cemetery beyond the side of the road right of way there. Not by very far, but we have to get permission to do that. And so that's what we're asking for here. And the designer and I did go out to the cemetery and had some extensive discussions about our crew's ability to avoid the water line that runs through there. And we're confident that's not going to be a problem.
Go ahead.
Has the cemetery commission had a chance to look at this?
Yes.
And
So
what-
John Johnson and I went out together. We did see the survey stake. We do know where the water line is, and we don't feel it's a problem.
Okay. Then I don't have a problem with it.
You need to make a motion on this?
I guess.
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the granting of an easement to Green Mountain Power Corporation. That's it.
Second.
Any public comment? Any discussion from the board? No? All in favor? Aye.
Who's going to sign the easement?
It doesn't say who signed it.
You should probably just designate someone. Can be, the chair of the board, can be me. It needs a witness, so.
I'll start over. I'll make a motion to approve the granting of an easement to Green Mountain Power Corporation and authorize the chair to sign it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, David, for hanging out with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking this up.
You can stay on. It's fascinating from here on out.
All right, select board old business. Draft internal control and financial management procedures. Karen?
Oh, sure. All right, so you have seen these documents prior. I hope everyone had a chance to review them. The first document is internal control and financial management procedures. This document was created based off of a recommendation from our auditor. And this is internal for our financial, processes, and it involves the finance director, the treasurer, and sometimes the assistant treasurer. So Kim and I went through this and we updated very minimal places where there might have been a change. So basically we updated this procedure based on what's happening right now in our office. So Kim and I are comfortable the way it is written. Again, there's really no major changes. We've pretty much streamlined the process, and it's been noted in this procedure. There's a couple typos, we fixed those as well. What we did do is we separated out on page 6, the procurement guidelines is an actual separate policy, and the credit card policy is also a separate policy that you'll be reviewing this evening. But this is just a guide for our internal operations. But we also have the select board review it, and we ask that you adopt it. And the auditor asks for this every year.
Karen, can you tell me what the Davis-Bacon requirements are?
So the Davis-Bacon is related to grants. and especially federal grants. So the Davis-Bacon is a list of costs associated with labor. It could be associated with equipment, material, the whole 9 yards. So it's a standard list that we have to it's a certain criteria that has to be met when you have state and federal grants.
What kind of criteria? What are we looking at with this list?
What, the Bacon Davis?
Yeah, or Davis-Bacon, depending on how you come at it.
Bacon should always come first.
Yeah, what criteria we agreeing that we're going to meet?
So certain grants, there is criteria that have to be met when you are awarded. And
Right, but what are they? What kind of criteria are we talking about that we're obligating ourselves to meet?
there's all kinds of different, it depends on the grant.
Well, Davis-Bacon, that's a statute, isn't it?
No.
No, it looks like you got multiple references to the Code of Federal Regulations.
Yes, so it has, wage determination, there's all kinds of, it's, Vermont Agency of Transportation uses it. Their highway rates, heavy rates, like equipment. It's all kinds, I can give you the website if you want to look at it.
Sure.
It's compliance, for projects that you work on that state and federal grant monies are funded for.
Jeanette?
So it's primarily, a lot of it is wage determinations. And I was the grants manager for the town of Brattleboro, that one down there, for a while. And I had to go out to when they had a CDBG grant or a transportation grant or whatever, I had to go out to the company like Omega and ask, how much are you being paid for this particular job? And if they weren't being paid according to the Davis-Bacon rules, then they got dinged for it. So it's
Right.
It depends on what the grant is, what you're going to be complying with. But if you want federal and state money, you've got to comply with Davis-Bacon. You don't have any choices. And
Right.
sometimes Davis-Bacon is actually, for example, I think it's used, the Boston area is where our Davis-Bacon rates come from. And sometimes they're lower than what actually people in Vermont are being paid. So you're paying less than you would, but primarily they want you to pay more. But that's it. I mean, if you don't want to comply with them, then you're not going to get the grants. It's that simple.
Yeah, you don't have to comply with them, but you can't apply.
Right, you're not going to get the grant, and the particular type of grant that you're going to get is, for example, if you get a federal grant to work on this building, you're going to have to pay the contractors according to Davis-Bacon. If you get there aren't going to be any transportation compliance requirements in this one, but if you get a transportation grant for fixing up a road or a sidewalk, then you're going to have to comply with Davis-Bacon for transportation purposes.
Right.
So it depends entirely on the grant you're getting.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's multiple rates. The other thing too, Fletcher, is when you get audited too, and you haven't met that criteria, chances are you're not getting the money.
Right.
It's kind of like BABA.
Like who?
What's FABA?
BABA is a federal, so you gotta buy Back America. Yeah.
And if you
Buy
die,
America Something Act, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
But different grants have different criteria.
Just looking at this generally, I mean, not all that stuff is in if we have federal money. And as to our local purchases, things that don't involve federal money, are we changing our categories at all? I mean,
what page are you on?
well, it starts, I guess, it's the first 3 pages of this large thing about procurement. We got, I think, well, actually starting on page 3, procurement using solely municipal funds.
Are we talking about the procurement policy, or are we talking?
Yeah, I'm
about
not even there yet.
We're just on the first one,
Still on there.
right?
Yeah.
Procedures.
Yeah,
Well, isn't it part of it?
no, that was the point, they
Oh,
took that.
excuse me, sorry.
The only quibble I have here is that my name is spelled wrong on the declaration page. It's the wrong last name.
It's just a holdover all the time. I'm sorry that happened again.
It's okay, it'll go away eventually. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the Town of Putney Internal Control and Financial Management Procedure. Oh wait, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
As written.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. 1 down, 2 to go. All right, so Fletcher, the procurement policy. This template was taken from Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns. Kim and I went through it. I'm comfortable the way it's written, especially the fees that have been put in here. Not the fees, but the dollar amounts.
You like the ranges that are in here?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with these ranges. They're low. It allows, like, for a minor purchase up to $10,000. You know, it's all discretionary too. Most people don't just spend like $5,000, right? So usually there's paperwork that goes with that, whether it's a contract or whatever it may be, an invoice, an estimate. It doesn't happen just by saying yes. There's conversation about it. The other thing too, I want to mention in our general fund and our highway operating budgets, in the capital, there is a line item in each budget for $10,000 for direct expense. So this is why I limited that number to 10,000. So the low number's 2, and then, you know, discretionary at 10. And then anything beyond 10, it's a whole nother conversation. And it is a conversation with the select board for complete transparency. Now the way we do, like, your major purchases, right? So the way you solicit bids, right, for anything over 10,000, you know, it can be discretionary. You know, you can get verbal. You may only get, you know, 2 qualified, you know, bids back. Do you want to push for a third one? You know, it depends on the situation and what the purchase is for. But anything major, again, it goes back to the grants you know, especially for the state and for FEMA, they have certain standard of criteria that has to be met. You know, it has to go in the newspaper. You have to solicit so many, and you have to, you know, have a certain number of bids that come back. So, I mean, you would want that. The whole purpose of this is to make sure you're fair and competitive with whatever you're putting out as a proposal.
Bex, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, the procurement of sealed bid, there's a slashed out of more than 2,000 on page 7.
Yeah, that's coming out.
Okay.
It pretty much says that in the beginning, Bex. So it's a little redundant. And there will be times when, like, let's take the pump station, right, where we needed pumps, right? It was an emergency. You know, we didn't go out to bid on those because, like, you know, our contractor can get them. And, you know, they're a specialized piece of equipment, right? If we're trying to do a bridge project, yes, we're going to put that out to bid, you know, and you want competitive bids on it. You know, the other thing too is that, you know, we don't always take the lowest bid. You know, so there's, you know, each one is going to be different. It's going to be a different situation. But I think we do a good job putting a lot of things out to request proposals. I mean, we just sent 3 out, you know. I do it for oil and propane every year. You know, mowing services is another one. So, but again, it's a guide, you know, for this office, for the select board. And we all know people change positions, and it's like, it's got to be in writing, and it has to be simple.
Well, in my experience, my limited experience, when you're writing grants, they often ask whether you have a policy as well, so it's good for that.
That is correct, Eileen.
I will make a motion to adopt the procurement, it's a hard word to say, can we just change it?
I know, right?
Purchasing policy, the procurement policy as written.
Second.
Any public comment? Mr. Fairman.
Mr. Chairman, just the observation that whether or not there is a requirement for 3 bids, we get the number of bids corresponding to the number of businesses that would like to do this business. And if that happens to be just 2, basically that's saying no one else wants to do it. Why would we want to talk to them anyway?
Peg, anything? No. Anybody else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Your last name is correct on this document, Eileen.
Thank you very much.
The other one was an older version.
It's okay,
Yeah.
I can cross it out.
I'll print off a new sheet.
Okay.
before you sign it.
Okay.
So the last policy is a credit card policy. So we do have town credit cards. The library, fire department, highway, and this office all have credit cards. I mean, yeah, purchases over 1,000 need pre-approval. The limits on the cards are $2,500 each. This, I mean, I like to see an invoice and have payment go out and not have a lot of charges on the credit cards. We did have a situation with the fire department where $2,500 was charged to their credit card and no one knew what the charges were. And Kim had to call the credit company. No, it was Alyssa Harlow, actually. She was here. And she had to get them to remove the charges. So the limit used to be higher. I have reduced it. So if anybody has to purchase an item that is more than $1,000, it should be brought to the town manager's attention and have a conversation and then get approval. And I'm kind of a stickler like this because January's coming and I'm going to send out my memo and I'm going to remind people to, if you don't need it, don't spend it.
I will make a motion to adopt the credit card policy as written.
Second.
Any public comment? Mr. Fairman?
Mr. Chairman, a question to our town manager. You mentioned a $2,500 charge. Was that charge ultimately determined to have been fraudulent?
It was fraudulent, yes. And there was more than one. There was like quite a few.
Did you therefore scrutinize the security of our town credit cards to, in case we somehow were creating an opportunity for these several fraudulent charges?
Have I done what? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. You mentioned the $2,500 charge, which turned out to be fraudulent. And then you mentioned that actually there were a number of other fraudulent charges. Now, this suggests that there may have been a lapse in the security of our town of Putney credit cards. Did you look into that possibility, and what did you do as a result of having looked into it?
Yes, so there are multiple charges that equated to $2,500, and we talked to the department head, and they confirmed that they were not fire department charges. And then we also contacted the credit card company, worked with them, and they were able to take them off the card. At that point too, I believe the limits were like $5,000 for the credit cards. So it happened. We were able to work through it. It was erased. It has not happened again. We immediately shut that card off, and a new one was issued. But yeah, I mean, it happens. We took care of it, and
that was a few years ago,
Sounds
correct?
like it was at least 7 years ago.
yeah, that was like at least
Learning process.
And it hasn't happened
Yeah.
since.
Which,
No, it hasn't happened
Okay.
since, no.
which is why you have a credit card policy.
Mr. Fairman?
That is
correct. And this is why every month, slips have to be turned in at payroll time. And then we process that bill once a month. And we match the slips to every charge on our bill.
Mr. Fairman, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, first I want to mention that the matching of transactions that and the records thereof that our town manager had just mentioned is an excellent precaution. And I also want to clarify that when I heard about these fraudulent charges, I simply assumed that they were more recent than, say, 7 years ago.
No.
So had I known this, I probably would not have needed to say what I said.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Also, we have gas cards for the highway department and for the fire department. And everyone knows that we have to have slips with every single gas purchase. And I have to say, both departments have been very good about getting their slips back. And because I look at all that, and Kim's got a little procedure and she's got a checklist, and and I look at it and I'm like, okay, who's, but they're doing a really good job with it. So it's all good. And thank you for approving these documents. That's 3 more off your list.
Motion, I think it was seconded, so.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, rules of procedure for the Putney Selectboard and Fletcher. You're up.
The ongoing draft is in your packet. I hope you've all had the opportunity to read through it by now. The last time it came up, I solicited comments. I got comments from Jeanette and I got comments from Mr. Fairman. And many of those changes are incorporated in this draft, including Mr. Fairman was very firm about the idea that Vermont statute should be cited, not just to be informative to the public, but also because the board can't change stuff that's required by statute. So it's good to be on notice of that. So I added those in after he convinced me that was good practice. That was the last change since what you have already reviewed. And I move that we adopt the revised Putney Selectboard Rules of Procedure.
Seconded.
Any public comment? Mr. Fairman?
I have one.
Go ahead, Mr. Fairman.
Well, I believe our town manager wishes to speak.
You want to go? One of you can go first. Doesn't matter to me.
Howard, you go ahead. We called on you first.
All right. I clarify, Mr. Chairman, that I requested and kindly received a private meeting with Select Person Proctor, who is the drafter of the Rules of Procedure. And yes, I did suggest, as he, and he correctly summarized what we talked about. I know, however, that there's one item that still has not been covered here, and that is at the beginning of the document. It says that the town of Putney Select Board may amend and readopt everything that is below. Now, I'm wondering if it should be clarified somehow. In fact, I did suggest to Select Person Proctor that there might be a heading that says the following cannot be amended by the town of Putney Select Board. Because at the moment, while yes, the statutes are cited, it says that everything below can be amended. And in fact, it cannot, because state laws, of course, can only be amended by the Vermont General Assembly. So I take the liberty of offering that suggestion. Also, I would like to bring up a matter that came up at the previous time that we discussed this. This will be somewhat lengthy because it has to be. During our Town of Putney Select Board's November 12th, 2025 public discussion of public participation in your meetings, One of our select persons apprehensively imagined 50 members of the public on the Zoom TV screen and 30 in the room. However many members of the public were present, each would be exercising one's personal constitutional rights under the First Amendment to the Constitution for the United States of America and Chapter 1, Article 6 of the Constitution of the State of Vermont, interpreted by the Vermont Supreme Court in Severson versus City of Burlington as the legislative intent of the Vermont Open Meeting Law that all who are present and wish to be heard by you be heard by you for your legislative information and benefit as our elected representatives between our sovereign annual and special town meetings. The Vermont Supreme Court would agree with the Supreme Court of New Hampshire that, I quote, "In matters of statutory interpretation, this court is the final arbiter of the intent of the legislature as expressed in the words of the statute considered as a whole," unquote. Hearing everyone who is present and wishes to be heard, therefore, is your constitutional obligation as select persons. No rule nor rules of procedure can absolve you of this constitutional obligation. To be helpful, I suggest that asking members of the public to take turns speaking for or against your adoption and enactment of an agenda item could shorten public participation as those awaiting their turns realize that others have spoken for them. Not a lawyer, I offer my personal opinion that reasonably and uniformly limiting how long each member of the public may speak to you could be constitutional, while limiting how many members of the public may speak to you could be unconstitutional. Posting when agendas are posted, documents referenced, is fundamental to informed public participation and to informed deliberation by our Town of Putney Select Board. For example, in this instance today, the packet was posted, what had not been posted at 2:38 p.m. At 2:51 p.m. it had been posted, 2.5 hours before your meeting. Now, most of you have day jobs that you are working and have not had time to review anything before deliberating, and neither have members of the public, which is why I added that to the matter of the constitutional right of public participation. Now, some members are absent and some are present this evening, so always as a courtesy, I will hand a number of copies to actually, what I should do, I guess, is just walk around and hand them out, if I may. And I shall email copies to the people who are not present this evening. In person, I mean. So, with that, thank you. I am speaking always in favor of clarity because our rules of procedure are, as everything in Dillon's Rule of Vermont, governed by what other people have said we may and may not do. So we are always subject to the Vermont Open Meeting Law, and we are subject to the constitutional rights of the public to participate in meetings of our Town of Putney Select Board for your benefit, as the Vermont Supreme Court has stated in Severson versus City of Burlington. So I don't know how you will proceed with this at this point. There is a motion on the floor this time to adopt this. There seems to be no discussion of public participation this evening, as there was November 12th, actually a month ago, almost exactly. So I suppose what we will do here, as diplomats say, we will await developments regarding what you do next and take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fairman. Karen?
Thank you. Just for the record, Mr. Fairman, this select board gets a packet days before their meeting. I try to get that packet to them on Friday or Saturday. Yeah, Saturday I work, Sunday I work. And sometimes they don't get it until Monday, but they do get it before their meeting. So they do have some time to review their packet. It is my understanding we post it on the website as a courtesy. And I don't believe that is a state law that we need to do that. And I will ask the select board to look into that further.
Yeah, there's no state statute that says that we have to have select board packets. It's just the agenda.
That's what I thought. So I just want to be on record that we are doing our due diligence. Also, Fletcher, on page 2 of your document, F number 2, you still have putneyvermont.org. So that typo was not fixed.
It's got
I
to
don't
be
have,
gov. Yeah, it's got to be gov.
.gov, yes.
Okay.
I thought we fixed this the last time, but
So did I, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
okay. The other thing too is the date on this version. If you're adopting this tonight, the date is November 18th. So I don't know if you want to correct that.
I'll make a motion to adopt the Putney Select Board rules with the changes of F2 to .gov and to remove the draft date entirely.
And change the adoption month at the end to December.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Chairman, the previous speakers are correct that the Vermont Open Meeting Law does not specifically require that the select board packet that we now learn is available to you all at least by Monday, be available also to the public. Now, the fundamental question, therefore, is, does this honor the spirit of the Vermont Open Meeting Law, which, in the opinion of the Vermont Supreme Court, is that public participation enables you to benefit from our input so that you can do a better job at legislating. Now, when we are given 2 or 3 hours before a meeting to go through dozens of pages, and we very well, I am retired, but most people are not. And I happen to have time today. I do not always have that time. So it is definitely, I have to use the words, it is definitely short shrift in terms of the legislative intent of the Vermont Open Meeting Law as interpreted by the Vermont Supreme Court in Severson. So I am publicly requesting that at the same time that the packets are sent to our select board, they be posted on the Town of Putney website because they exist. They are available. There is no reason not to post them. It is as simple as that. Now, this oversight may have been unintentional, and I'm not in any way suggesting that it is intentional, but it certainly would improve our democratic process if everyone had the same time to review the information, so we, the members of the public, can do a better job of doing our job of participating publicly in your meetings. So I therefore ask our town manager that given that she's told us the information exists, please post it to the town website at the same time that you give it to our select board, so that everyone has the same opportunity to work it into their busy lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, could you say who it is who actually does the posting to the website? If you're in here on a Saturday and you're posting things and you're assembling a packet Do you have the technical support to get it on the website?
Not on the weekend, no, and not on a Friday because my staff doesn't work.
Right.
But, you know, I understand Mr. Fairman's asking for it on Monday. You know, for the most, sometimes folks, not all the information is in the packet. And this will be a problem if I post the packet and then somebody says, oh, you can't talk about it. It wasn't in the packet. I don't want to play that. Okay. I'm like, I think we go above and beyond and we do our best. And, you know, I mean, I very rarely post anything to the website anymore because I have Rachel to do that for me. You know, she's quicker. She knows where to put it. It's all well and good. So,
Mr. Fairman?
Mr. Chairman, our excellent town manager has just told us that the packets that you receive on or before Monday may in fact be incomplete. So this applies not only to the public, it applies to the members of the select board. Now, yes, it is only the agendas that have to be, that strictly speaking under the Vermont Open Meeting Law must be posted 48 hours in advance. And not too long ago, one of your meetings could not occur because this had not happened, and our town manager very honestly dealt with it. Now, this is not a matter of whether it is convenient or a matter of whether someone wants to do it. It is a matter of what is right. And what is right is that the public have the same opportunity to consider what is going to be coming up before your meetings that you do before your meetings. It is as simple as that. And in that regard, yes, indeed, it may not be possible to post them Friday. It may not be possible to post them Saturday. Clearly, Monday would be perfectly adequate because that leaves essentially 3 days before the meeting. But I do not feel that I can concede the point that, oh, well, we don't have to do it, so we're not going to do it, because it is not a question of simply of obeying Vermont statute. It is a question of good government and Vermont democracy. Now, these are facilitated by the members of the public, having the information with sufficient time to review it and consider it and come to you with good input. In other words, that is why it is to your benefit. We come with better input because we've had more time to think about it, especially we who actually, when the information was posted, we were working our jobs. I'm not one of those people, but many of us are. And so we've actually had no time. So we have to come here and wing it. This is not what we would call good government. So I reiterate my request and make it more specific that our town manager on Mondays post the select board packet post to our website the select board packet, presuming that you already have, as soon as it is available to our select board, so that everyone may have a chance to review it. Now, if in fact the packet is incomplete, that applies not just to us, it applies to you. Now, if there is an agenda item, you're covered by the Vermont Open Meeting Law. If there's no agenda item, of course, you're out of luck.
Thank you. Elaine?
I'd like to make a point that this is not part of the agenda item that we're talking about. And I would like to vote on this and move on.
I'd also like, just to push back on one point. Mr. Chairman, I haven't heard anybody say, we don't have to do it, therefore we're not going to do it. All I've heard is people saying, we're doing the best we can. And sometimes it's not as quick as we would like, but given the resources we got, it's just good. I mean, I agree with you, probably Monday is a good target. But I also understand that the people that work in this building are only human as well. So I accept that they are trying to do the best job they can.
And I guess I'd like to reiterate that this is not part of what the agenda item that we were both warned on the agenda is. So I'd like to vote on this and move on.
Appoint Cleveland select person, Parker. You are correct in that regard, but there are process.
Mr. Chairman, we're gonna drop this and we're gonna move on. There's still a lot to go through. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Fire service reimbursement ordinance.
Yeah, these next two items are really, it's an ordinance and a policy, because that was long ago determined to be the best way to divide this up. And it's a lengthy bit of material, so I asked Karen to put it on the agenda tonight so that you would all get the draft copies and have time to review them. I'm not going to ask for any action by the board on it tonight, but if there's any thoughts at this point.
The only question I have is, did you take this from the current ordinance, or?
This iteration of the ordinance is a rewrite of the existing Town of Putney ordinance.
Cool.
The policy was drawn from actually the Dummerston reimbursement rates, which they got through their third party. But really what they're doing is taking usual and customary rates in the region, because that's what they can claim for insurance type reimbursement.
Okay. When did they adopt theirs?
Oh, I think this has been at least a year since we got our hands on this.
Couple years, they've had theirs.
Okay, so
They
it's
use very-
relatively recent.
They use the third party company, yes, yep.
But we would hope to, if things, costs in this realm, in this type of business go up dramatically. So it's something that we need to keep on top of.
Okay.
But it's there for your consideration. Hopefully, next regular meeting, we can actually discuss it in terms of a vote.
Sounds good.
Peg, go ahead.
Yeah, one, I want to say thank you to Fletcher for moving this along. I had planned to work with Jeanette on this, so I'm wondering if you have consulted with Jeanette about these changes?
Well, I'm wondering whether that's why Jeanette mentioned that she'd like to meet with me last weekend, which didn't actually happen.
That's why.
Well, can I just request that you consult with Jeanette, and I'm assuming with the fire department, folks at the fire department, that goes kind of without saying.
Always happy to meet with Jeanette.
Okay. The other question I have is the changes to the ordinance, as because it's hard to tell without holding them both up side by side. Are the changes that will require us to adopt a new, to go through the process of adopting a new ordinance? Is a new ordinance? Will this meet the criteria for being a new ordinance?
It does. We got to adopt it as a new ordinance. I mean, some of it, the existing ordinance is just plain out of date.
Okay.
It needed, to be updated in general. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, anytime you change one word in an ordinance, you got to readopt it.
Okay. And what I'm hearing you say is that the ordinance will be independent of the fee structure.
Yes, yeah, the ordinance authorizes the select board and the the town manager of the fire department to work together on the fee structure and then make recommendations to the board. Ultimately, the board would then approve any changes to the fee structure.
Okay. But it wouldn't impact we wouldn't have to go back to the drawing board with the ordinance.
Exactly the reason to keep them separate.
Okay, thank you.
Any public comment? Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Vermont is a Dillon's rule state where municipalities have no powers or authorities not authorized by Vermont statutes, passed by the Vermont General Assembly and enacted by the governor of Vermont. There is no Vermont statute authorizing billing to recipients of municipal fire services for costs of providing these municipal fire services that in fact are fully funded by municipal taxpayers directly and/or via intrastate and interstate municipal aid, presumably excluding recovery via customary legal proceedings of costs of responding to false alarms, illegal burning, and similar infractions of Vermont statutes and/or municipal ordinances. No statutory authority cited by this proposed fire service reimbursement ordinance and this proposed fire service reimbursement rates policy authorizes billing to recipients of municipal fire services for costs of providing these municipal fire services. That recipients of municipal fire services may not be legal residents within the taxation jurisdictions of the town of Putney and/or municipalities providing mutual aid is a legislative omission that the Vermont General Assembly and Governor of Vermont could rectify, but have not yet done so. Absent any authorizing Vermont statute, our Town of Putney Select Board therefore have no power or authority to adopt and enact regarding our Town of Putney Fire and Rescue Department this proposed fire service reimbursement ordinance and this proposed fire service reimbursement rates policy that are ultra vires, acting or done beyond one's legal power or authority in Dillon's rule, Vermont. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette.
So last time I gave you a report, I sat because my legs bothered me. Now my back is killing me because of sitting in that chair for so long. So I'm going to stand and use the little silly podium here. But okay, thank you. I do have some comments on this that I would ask when you deliberate over the next couple weeks and come back to look at the ordinance itself that you take into consideration. These aren't in any particular order here. I'm trying to be efficient, so I'm not going to comment on each thing. So I believe that in general, charges should only be levied if the occurrence was the result of negligence, maybe gross negligence, or is defined as a nuisance. For example, a car accident that was caused by ice or by a bicycle rider out of control, should the driver be fined or charged? Or a burn permit is issued, no negligence, but a sudden wind comes up and it gets out of control. Is that negligence or a nuisance? According to this ordinance, each occurrence, regardless of circumstances, will be billed. The original ordinance billed the insurance carrier, and in some of the rate schedule refers to claims. This document, this doesn't bill insurance at all. There's no mention of insurance in this draft at all, but bypasses the insurance and bills the person. I don't believe you can have different policies for Putney residents and non-Putney residents, which you do have here. Some non-Putney residents will be billed for everything. Putney residents won't be billed unless they're cited in a car accident. The way the motor vehicle reads is that every accident in Putney and on I-91 will be charged. For example, it seems the BRAT ordinance only charges for motor vehicle accidents if there is an extrication required. And then there is a charge for each person that had to be extricated. I just looked up their policy and that's what it says, that motor vehicle accidents will only be charged if there's an extrication. The original ordinance said that there would be an investigation and a decision to charge would be made. I disagreed with that then because it was too subjective and was too dependent on the person making decision. This doesn't even suggest that there would be an investigation, so I'm guessing everything listed must be billed. Every occurrence must be billed. I'm not sure that special events should be in here. If they must get a permit, there could be a charge for coverage. If they don't need this on-site coverage, there could be a clause that if it gets out of control and they have to have coverage, it will be billed. That's just, it could be in here or not in here. So it also refers to emergency and non-emergency medical events, but there is no rate schedule for these in the rate schedule. Just to be clear here is the information on billing for EMS calls that I've found from my research. Essentially, the town can bill anyone for anything they would like. That you can do that. Can Putney bill insurance for EMS? The answer is no. Medical billing codes, regulations, and practices are largely controlled by CMS. That's the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Care Services. There are some limited rules and regulations that are left to state lawmakers. Under CMS regulations, ambulance services are allowed to bill under Medicare Part B as a supplier of transportation services, only after filing the appropriate paperwork and getting issued a National Provider Identification Number, NPI. Even for ambulance services, insurance will not pay for on-scene treatment unless transport is provided. So we can't bill for EMS services.
Nothing, go ahead, Jeanette. I was just looking through this and trying to compare it. But I don't think there was any mention about EMS services, there never has been.
It clearly says I have it here, it clearly says all services provided, emergency and non-emergency, and I believe it also clearly says, I don't see where I have it here now, but I think it also referred to emergency, and so it has to take out medical calls. That can't be in there. CMS, there are several exceptions to this rule that meet very specific treatment and insurance criteria. These situations apply to about 2 to 3% of the total EMS calls in Vermont. I don't believe that Putney can transport. We don't have that ability. We're not an ambulance service. And it does not have an NPI, so we can't bill for medical calls. And I could be wrong on that, but this is all the research that I've done. That's what it says. Now, I've made some little red things on here, so what you're gonna see in my comments on the next page are not complete. In the rate listing under fires, it lists level 1 and says that this occurs almost every time the department responds to an incident. So if there is a fire, the resident will be billed $554 per hour per engine, as they will pay when there is a fire. Okay. An argument could be made that one just shouldn't pay their taxes for Putney Fire Department because they're going to be charged when there's a fire anyway. If I have a fire and 2 engines come and a truck at $680 per hour, and it takes about 5 hours to put this fire out, it will cost me, and I had $5,000 in there, but it actually will cost me $8,900 for that incident, because based on the 2 engines per hour and the truck, because the fire chief is going to drive the truck down there, which is $680 an hour, it's going to cost me $8,900. And that's in addition to the taxes I pay for the service. The rate schedule also seems to be a bit inflated. I didn't know that it came from Dummerston, and I am not sure. I did not realize it came from Dummerston. I looked up the Brattleboro rates, and they seem to charge $200 per truck at fires, not $584. and $200 per extraction for each person that has to be extracted. We charge $554 per engine per hour, $683 per hour per truck, and $1,800 for an extraction. That's what's in your rate schedule, as opposed to the $200. I'm not sure if theirs is complete, but that's what their policy says. There are some services that are there for the common good and are paid for by everyone in town. Fire, schools, roads, library, etc. I believe we need to be very careful that we do not begin to charge for those services. Should we charge tuition to go to our public schools, membership fees at the library, charges for maintaining a road that only a couple people drive on? I'm not sure that that's good policy. In general, I can see that there should be some charge or fine for nuisance and negligence, perhaps gross negligence, but this goes way beyond that. This implies that every fire, every car accident or EMS call will be charged. And if that isn't what the case here, if that isn't what it means, who will make the decision and based on what criteria? It should not simply be the fire chief, the town manager, or anyone else deciding without any parameters or guidelines when and who to charge and who not to charge. Thank you.
So just to be clear, Fletcher wanted to meet with you.
Yes.
So that sounds like you should go through that with him and make the appropriate changes. And just to be also clear, we're not doing anything right now. This is the first time we've seen this since whenever. So I think it's a little. I would like the public to work with us on this one a little bit, rather than naysaying it off the bat. I think this is a work in progress. I will also say that we have heard repeatedly from taxpayers in town that we need to find other sources of revenue. If you don't believe that, then we'll stop. We don't need to waste our time doing this kind of thing. But this is another source of revenue. So I'd like you guys to work together, and then we can come back and we can have these conversations. But it's almost 8 o'clock and we still have executive session to go through.
I agree, and I thank you. And I did try to get together with Fletcher this weekend, but I have a job and I have a lot of people that I'm shuffling around to appointments, and it just didn't happen. Peg and Karen and I were going to work on this, and we never were able to set up a time when all three of us could be there. So this came up tonight, and I thought that it made sense for me to give you comments, because you're going to be looking at this and deciding on it at the next regular meeting, I believe, which is, by the way, Christmas Eve.
No, it's the 17th.
17th.
We're not meeting on
Yeah, I
Christmas
mean,
Eve.
realistically, we're not going to be adopting this anytime soon. I mean, so.
Okay, well,
I mean, I hear your concerns, but again, it's gotten really late. And we said at the outset that we weren't going to really look at this right now. I also have a job. I honestly haven't had a chance to look at this. So even though I got, my packet on Friday, I was working on a different select board's packet. So I just would beg some indulgence of the public right now.
Yes.
Yes.
If we could just move on.
We got a couple other comments, Jeanette, if we can. We're not, like we said, we just gonna want to go through this quick. We got a couple other comments, because we still have a long night ahead of us.
All right, I apologize. I thought that it would be helpful for each of you to see the comments that I made. Whether you look at them or not is up to you, but I will definitely get together with Fletcher.
For speaking personally, it is helpful. I would ask that you focus on Article 3 of what the standards are for what can be built. This boogeyman of my house catches fire and I'm going to get a huge bill is just not the, look at what Article 3 lists as eligible to be billed. The other thing, it's true that this reoriented it toward building individuals rather than building insurance. And frankly, that's really customary. You get a bill that's covered by insurance, it's your responsibility to call up your insurance company and say, we got a bill. That's customary. But,
Sounds like you guys are gonna meet and you can talk that over.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
I'm
right.
happy to do that.
2 quick comments. Heather, online.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to maybe correct what sounds like some miseducation. It as far as EMS goes, no, nobody at the fire department is ever going to bill medical insurance until they transport. However, if it's a matter of a vehicle accident, you can absolutely bill the vehicle insurance. Same as going for house fires. Those rates are set up not to bill the individual, but to bill the house insurance for those things. And I think that needs to be looked at a little bit more than, oh my God, you're going to send me my bill and why are you billing my medical insurance?
Thank you. Mr. Farmer.
Mr. Chairman, very briefly, first a clarification to what the previous speaker just said. While yes, the insurance company can be billed, the insurance company will ask the policyholder to verify and authorize the payment of the claim for obvious reasons. Now, Senator White and I have exchanged our work this evening, so I'm sure we will be reacting to each other's work as well. And I will be going through this in much more detail than I could today, but one especially attracts my attention, which says that everyone who is ticketed or arrested will be billed. Now that, in fact, reverses the presumption of innocence in American law and replaces it with a presumption of guilt. Now that, in fact, is simply inadmissible, and the people and everyone concerned knows it. So that one is going to, so that one cannot stand as is for the simple reason that the person is allowed to plead the ticket, and if they're arrested, that means they will be going to court, where they may be found innocent.
Thank you. Heather, your hand's still up? Is that? It's not. Okay. All right, moving on. Fire service reimbursement rate policy. We already covered that. Unless you wanna.
No,
No,
they
we're good with
travel
that.
together.
Okay. All right, we're going into executive session under 1 VSA 313(1). After making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly be place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. E, pending or probate civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. And we're inviting Karen. And are we making a decision?
We are making a decision? Oh.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
You might surprise me.
Okay. Can I hear a motion to go into executive
I
session?
make a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313(1).
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We've come out of executive session with no decisions. And our next meeting is December 17th, 2025.
Yeah.
Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's
Thank
next
you,
week.
Peg.